Hello and welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Sarah Roche. I'm a technology coach. Today we are going to be focusing on assessment and specifically looking at an app called Explain Everything. I'm going to give you a second to settle in, have one tab open to watch the YouTube video, and then have another tab to collaborate in some way or another with us. I'll give you a second to set up and I'll flip screens. For our Tech Tuesday today, we are going to be examining and analyzing Explain Everything as an assessment tool. If you would like to collaborate with us during this time and ask questions, you may do so on the document link provided by your principal, and just being sure to add your name before you ask your question, and then we know who we're speaking to and you know when we answer your question. You may also speak with us within Twitter or Yammer using the hashtag DPChats. And remember that just watch the video and ask your questions, because you can always go back to our YouTube channel, which is DPCD Chats, and rewatch the video. Today we are going to be looking at how we can help our Catholic graduate learners become reflective, creative, and holistic thinkers using the Explain Everything app. We want to help them be able to solve problems and make responsible decisions. With Explain Everything, the students can actively participate in the thinking process. They're able to reflect upon and evaluate their own thinking skills and strategies, as well as demonstrating those thinking skills and strategies to their teacher. One of the most important things as well with the screencasting tool is that students are now able to create, adapt, and evaluate new ideas and share that thinking with their teacher. With Explain Everything, it is, as we said, an interactive screencasting whiteboard app. And this app can be used for ongoing assessment. It is an effective application for all levels and all courses. And it creates opportunities for dynamic assessment, which means that teachers and students can now embed audio and drawing and video within the learning process. When helping our students become reflective thinkers, we want to help them develop interpersonal skills that improve confidence and sustain their motivation. With an app like Explain Everything, students are able to monitor and take responsibility for their own development and learning within your course. Teachers can now use the app to provide feedback on a student's work or what they're doing within the class. Students can also give peer or self-assessment within this app, as well as being able to make their thinking visible. So if they're working on a solution, instead of just seeing that end result, the teachers can see how they got to that result and what their thinking is, because they can record their thoughts as they move through the process. Here we're going to show you an instructional video. So I'm going to move into the iPad app and open up Explain Everything and just show you a couple of the functions and how to move through the app itself. On the home screen, you tap on the plus sign in order to create a new project. Here you'll see you can select a color template. Go ahead and choose one, because you can always switch this and change this as you're designing. This does not need to stay this way. At the bottom, you see black, red, and blue boxes. These are the colors in which your tools are going to be when you use them. You can choose to then press down and hold and highlight. And at this point, you can definitely change colors and change what color your tools will be. So up above it, you see that the tools on the left are to create visuals. You can create visuals before you record or while you're recording. The draw tool, this first one that's highlighted on the left, is a pen tool. And this is used if you can just write with your finger, or if you're using a stylus pen. So here you can see when I press down and hold on it, it lets me choose the thickness of the pen itself and what it may be. So choosing the small one. And with this function in here, because it is this whiteboard, it is a never-ending one. So when I do, I can pinch it with two fingers and make it smaller or bigger and move it off to the side. The shape tool here, you press down and hold. So all of these you press down and hold on. I can choose a shape that I want to add, tap on my page and then tap again, and I can then do the same thing with this. Move this around and wherever I would like it to be. With the A, this is the text tool. And you can insert text with this, and when you press and hold on this one, it allows you to choose your size. When you tap on the screen, you can then add in your text with your keyboard, and you put that little green check mark when you're done, and it inserts it into there for you. Same thing. You can make that bigger, move it around however you'd like. The plus one below is in order to insert images or videos, either from your camera roll or from in the moment. So if there is something that's happening, an assessment that is happening right there, and you want to take a photo of the student's work to talk about it, you could just open this piece up, take a picture of it, and here up above you see that I can choose to crop my image. I can choose to lasso and just move around. So if I want to use this little lasso, I can then just take out that part of the photo and put it in, and then add that in. So if you're centering on something, or the student's trying to make their thinking visible and trying to center something out, they may want to just cut out a piece of the visual or a piece of their work. They could also go to their photo library. So you see where it says photos. They can click on that, and in their photos, they can add in. And all you would do is shrink it down to make sure that it stays within that area for you when you are done. So there are a few different features of how a teacher could give feedback on a student's work within here, as well as a student self-assessing themselves in their work, or taking a problem that they're working on and explaining why their solution is what it is. When they are doing that, there is this little bullseye feature here. And when I tap and hold on the bullseye, I can choose a presentation pointer. The presentation pointer can then help my audience understand what I'm talking about. So I've chosen an arrow from here. You can see that it's circled in blue. And when I tap and hold on the page, my arrow comes up. So as I'm presenting, the people that are watching my screencast can understand which point I'm talking about or what I am focusing on in that moment. So the students can choose to create beforehand, or they can be creating while it's recording. This little magnifying glass down below with the X in it, this allows me to zoom in and zoom out of my entire slide. So when I press on that, I can take two fingers and pinch and bring this whole page in, right? And move that off to the side, however that may be. Now this really creates the opportunity for me to have that endless amount of room, right? So that I'm working around with it. If I do have a student's piece of work and I'm taking a picture, I can take a picture of it, start talking about it, but then zoom it off, bring it off to the side, and give some examples of what they could be doing depending on what course I'm teaching. Down below, you can see that there's slide. If I want to add a slide, I press on the plus sign, and the plus sign allows me to add multiple slides. And when I press down on this again and hold it, I can see that I can change the template, and that's what I was saying before. So if I want to change all of them, I can just choose to do that and see what it looks like and how it changes. Or I can actually hold down on the slides themselves, and I can choose to delete the slide, or you see a little pie graph. When I press on that little pie graph, I can actually change the color of that single slide and have each slide different colors and be able to really design in different ways with that. If I am working on something and I want to start recording, this little record button down below allows me then to record whatever it is that I want to focus on. So I can then pull apart stuff, and I can talk about what's on my page, or be able to add things in as I am in the middle of working with you here, right? So they can see that I'm adding this part in and putting it into my page somewhere. So this can all be doing, and down below you can see that it's recording. So then I can choose to pause it, stop it, and the time itself, I can go in and I can look through what it is that we were talking about here. And you can see that I can actually change it, highlight it, or erase what I've done, right? So delete all clips, delete that, split, set marks. So then you can even edit that screencast within it itself. So it has so many different levels of design to it, and it all depends on what your purpose is for it. When you are done with it, you see that we have the exports down below. So there's a little square box right here, and you can choose to export with this. Up at the top, you can choose to make a video or a PDF or an image. So within these, you, if you're just doing an image, you obviously don't have video or screen clipping an image of what you're doing. Same with the PDF. If you're working with a video, it's because you've screencasted and that you've then, you're trying to demonstrate something or another within there. Okay, so if you do a video and you're moving within things, then you make sure to export it that way. You can choose to do it within your photos or within your OneDrive. So with your OneDrive, you're going to have to sign into your account and then export it within there. Or you can then just also as well go into the photos, and I've already chosen that it's a video, and then it begins to compress the video itself. And you can see behind it is actually showing you what's going on within the video. So then it's then rendering it and creating the assessment or the feedback for the students. So one example here is within grade 11 chemistry. And a teacher has decided to take a picture of a question within a student's quiz and provide feedback within it. So the teacher themselves is looking at chemical reactions and analyzing how the students was able to calculate and where they went correct and where they need some improvement.
Hi Mike, thanks for your solution to the following problem. I'm just going to give you some feedback on your solution. So question asks if you would completely drain all the oceans if you removed a mole of tablespoons, or 6.02 times 10 to the 23 tablespoons of water. It also goes on to tell you that 1 tablespoon is 15 centimeters cubed, and it also tells you that the amount of water in all of the oceans on Earth would amount to about 1.31 times 10 to the 9 kilometers cubed. The final part of the question asks you to use dimensional analysis, which you have used here to solve your problem. So I like the way you started this problem. This isn't the only way to start, but this is a good way to start. 6.02 times 10 to the 23 tablespoons of water. You know that you're going to be using that many tablespoons of water, and your first conversion factor is also correct. I just wanted to point that out, that 15 centimeters cubed is equal to a tablespoon of water, or there are 15 centimeters cubed for every 1 tablespoon of water, and you've oriented it correctly so that tablespoons cancel. There is a issue with your next 2 conversion factors, which I'm going to help you with here in a second. So you have written that a meter cubed is equal to 100 centimeters cubed, or there's 100 centimeters cubed for every meter cubed. And I'm just going to bring a meter cubed out, and we're going to take a look at a meter cubed. Meter cubed is 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters, and if you were to get the volume of that, or a meter cubed, you would get 1 million centimeters cubed. So this actually becomes your next conversion factor, and we can take the kilometer cubed and do the exact same thing. 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters which is a billion meters cubed. So this becomes your final conversion factor. And when you do that, you get a different answer. So what ends up happening is when you change this one to this one to this and this, 10 to the 19 becomes 10 to the 9 kilometers cubed, and you can check that solution. This also becomes 10 to the 9. Your final answer remains correct. That oceans. Thanks.
So you can see the validity and being able to assess the student's work and explain their thinking. So instead of just having these arrows and the numbers there, you can help the students see and understand how to get to the correct answer. Within our Ontario English curriculum, 9 to 12, I believe within most courses, the ability to reflect on skills and strategies is imperative. The ability for students to be able to identify their strengths, and here we're looking specifically within the English curriculum, but being able to think through. So they're using their critical and creative thinking strategies in order to understand the process itself. This student here is using his self-assessment techniques. So she has used her success criteria, and she is analyzing a paragraph that she is about to hand in. And she is talking through it in order to assess whether or not it's ready to be handed in.
In my answer, I have restated the question. I restated that my favorite subject in school is I've also answered the question with a gist. So my favorite subject is science. A gist is science, why? I've also used details to support my answer. I said that I love the subject because I usually have more hands-on activities. I love living things and the environment around me. I am very curious, and science helps me discover many things and answers a lot of my questions. I have stayed on task, and I have used proper conventions. I am ready to submit my answer to my teacher.
So before a student hands in anything, you can really see as to why they think they've reached the criteria that you've expected for this task or assignment itself. The student has also had the ability in order to color code where their thinking is in order to separate their assignment and where they've been able to reach the expectations set out for them. The other idea is being able to help students use Explain Everything to demonstrate how an answer is found. So, and instead of just showing the solution, students now can then show how they got to a solution. This teacher has basically designed an Explain Everything slides and given it to their students. So you can export it as a project and then give it to the students to screencast over and demonstrate how they were able to, I'm just going to make it quiet so you can see, but how this student themselves is reading the question and is using the recording tool in order to record their thinking. So now you can see that they're measuring, and you can see that their ability to use the protractor correctly. And you can now, as they move through the slides, see what they're thinking and how they're able to answer and what exactly it is that they're looking at. So I'll give you a moment just to see how this student is working through the slides and demonstrating their thinking. So you can see how the student's moving through and what they're doing the answer. And you can see how they are able to pull apart the answer and what they did in order to find the final solution. So if they are incorrect in some way, you're able to understand at what process and what part that they went the wrong way. And you can kind of start from there and work with that thinking in that piece. So that idea that even with something like this, if you're working even within a quiz or a task and students are on their own devices or on their own iPads, they can then pull this up from their OneDrive and answer it and then export it and send it back to you so that you're able to know with each student where they're going and how they're thinking about this task in itself. When we think about explain everything, I want you to really think about all the different tools in different ways. When we think about assessment, we want to be able to we want them to reach their full potential. So in order to do that, we really have to provide them feedback on how to get there and help them really self-assess so they understand what they've done in order to get there.
All right, just let me find my way back to you. And thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully you were able to pick up on a few strategies of how to explain everything with assessment and really being able to develop our students' voice and their own assessment strategies of how to reach their full potential when they are working through courses. Thank you so much for joining us today and hope to see you next Tuesday.